The media finally admits the problem of who has caused the mess in Disney. Welcome back to Views with Hughes, your Jennifer News. This is Jerome Hughes. And if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and also click the bell notification so that way you'll be notified of future uploads and updates. So, Variety is one of many media outlets that is reporting that Iger's big Disney reorganization is trying to fix the problems that he helped to create. Okay, so Variety, as well as other media outlets like Reuters, are reporting on this thing on this kind of matter. It says here that in a memo to employees last week, Iger announced that he would reorganize the corporate structure Chapek implemented in 2020, which consolidated all content budgeting and release strategy under the Disney Media and Entertainment Distribution Unit, or DMED, headed by Chapek, Lieutenant Kareem Daniel. Okay, so in other words, Bob Chapek was doing things where things that were approved by Iger before he left for retirement had failed when it was put out there. So then the Bob Chapek had to go ahead and cut cut losses and started cutting some things out that didn't really work. So from the restructuring, we see that it led to like a big change where it seemed to reassure Wall Street that Disney's management of streaming would change, and Chapek's creation of the unit DMED was seen as a move to accelerate and streamline the company's direct-to-consumer strategy by putting everything onto streaming. In other words, Disney Plus. Okay, so then after that, as a result, DMED also showed the responsibility for Disney's massive losses on streaming. In other words, thanks to how everything was put on the streaming and stuff, people started getting overwhelmed, or the fact that, they didn't like the content that's being put out there. So they just left streaming altogether. Okay. A lot of people started unsubscribing from Disney Plus in droves. I was one of them, but I had my reasons for that because of the fact that a lot of woke content that's being put up there was added. It was a bunch of things that didn't really work, if you will. All right. So Chapek, his only issue was the fact that he was releasing too many things, but there were rumors going around stating that he's probably doing that as a strategy to let things crumble, so that way the board would go ahead and give him the leeway to start firing people and letting them go. But there's people on the board who actually went against, who did the opposite and decided to go ahead and make a vote of confidence in Chapek, and then just after results let him go. So continuing on, the reinstated CEO plans to implement a new structure that puts more decision making back in the hands of our creative teams and rationalize costs, he wrote in a memo, adding, "This is also a time of enormous change and challenges in our industry, and our work will also focus on creating a more efficient and cost-effective structure." The last part was key to Iger's success in his second go-round at the company. It is clear that the Disney board is hoping the reinstated CEO can fix Disney streaming strategy, which has amassed a subscriber base to rival Netflix. And we've also recently seen in the news that, Disney fixed the numbers with the number of streamers. Okay, but who's to say that this is also another lie? But moving along, racked up huge losses at the same time when trying to compete against Netflix. With Wall Street having turned on streaming and its sky-high expenses, Iger's first test would be to bring costs down as quickly as possible. Okay. But there's obviously plenty of reason for the board to have confidence in Iger, who deserves credit for building Disney, and here's the bias coming from Variety, into media colossus it is today. But at the same time, the turbulence of Chapek's tenure and the problems caused by his restructuring have helped cloud the fact that the problems begun under Iger. So here is a big thing right here. Variety, one of many media outlets, are finally admitting that the things that we're seeing from the problems with Disney and the content put out there were all approved and done under Iger. Bob Chapek didn't have anything to do with those. It was all under Iger. Okay. So it says here that Chapek's organizational structure was unpopular among Disney employees and Iger himself because of the fact that, he started rooting out and putting out there announcing that things were going to be apolitical with Disney. Okay. So many creative executives reportedly resented having decision making power taken away from them. And I remember that because he took away the power from the executives and stuff, like the not only from Disney but also from Lucasfilm and Marvel Studios. All right. And insiders growls that the hierarchy slowed Disney's content pipeline, complicating the green lighting process and creating widespread confusion. Okay, so then it goes in detail about Iger's feelings on the structure, where his from his internal memo where he wrote, "It's my intention to restructure things in a way that honors and respects creativity as a heart and soul of who we are," and announced that Daniel will exit the company. All right. Basically, that's somebody else who either resigned or got fired. But it also talks here about Chapek's strategy, where it was certainly misguided, but it's worth remembering that Chapek was trying to repair dysfunction caused by another reorganization under Iger before the launch of Disney Plus. Okay, so that, in other words, the whole woke content being introduced and it caused a big division at Disney. Late in his tenure in 2018, the One and Future CEO introduced a new corporate structure that created Disney's first direct-to-consumer division, Disney Plus. The reorganization reportedly led to the power of struggles between Kevin Mayer, who headed the DTC unit, and then Disney TV studio head Peter Rice, who Chapek fired later on. Okay? Chapek's subsequent restructuring was partly intended to correct those problems, according to multiple reports in the wake of the 2020 reorganization during the COVID pandemic. While Chapek was also made mistakes with the regarding to streaming, no one forced him to revise Iger's modest subscriber projections for Disney Plus to such high levels, okay, which are now looking ever more unrealistic. He was to a large extent following a playbook set by Iger. So in other words, Chapek was doing the very thing that came out of Bob Iger's playbook. He was doing the very things that Iger would have done if he was still CEO. If things didn't work, he went on ahead and tried something else. But he was more along the lines of on a big firing spree, right? Iger, it has a big hiring freeze, as I reported yesterday, okay? So it was Iger who engineered Disney's streaming strategy in the first place, and they're admitting it even further, and made no secret of the fact that it would lead to billions of dollars in losses. And though the media industry arguably should have foreseen that Netflix's constant growth model for streaming was unsustainable and that a market correction would come at some point, Chapek doesn't deserve so blame for the industry-wide error, but instead, Iger shares the blame. Problem with Disney Plus. They try to do the very things that Netflix has done. They're trying to go ahead and do the same things Netflix did, so that way they can compete with it and become better than it. But instead, with the kind of content that they put out there, they fail to keep fans around and win them back, as well as the fact that they constantly bring it one thing after another over and over and over again. Okay, to the point where either people got overwhelmed or they simply don't like the content. Okay. So now they're finally admitting, and well, actually, I want to say finally admitting. I'm actually surprised that they quickly admitted this, that Bob Iger's approval of the different content and movies and stuff, it was all his fault. You know, he was in the wrong for that, and it's like, you know, it took them like I didn't think it would be this soon to happen, but. You know, I caught a lot of heat from people talking about it was all Chapek's fault. It wasn't Iger. And I've been reporting this for like a long time with the different projects and stuff, or everything that's in phase 4 right now, all approved under Iger back in 2018 or 2017, because they were planning these things out for Marvel Studios, for the MCU, or as we know today as the MCU, okay? But nevertheless, they're admitting that Iger is at fault. Everything, can't blame Chapek for these things. The only thing that Chapek can be blamed for is the way he spent money, as well as the fact that, you know, he was about to start firing people who created the projects that didn't work. Matter of fact, with Strange World, if he was still a CEO, Hales would start rolling. Okay, he'll start firing people left and right, from Disney and Pixar, who were responsible for the movie. and he also would have went on ahead and start cutting other projects. Okay, but right now, on the Iger, there's a hiring freeze. Most likely may be letting some people go, but at the same time, I'm still thinking that he's going to keep the whole woke content with Disney. Let me know your thoughts about this whole thing. Do you think that Iger is that I'm not Iger? You think the media is finally has finally admitted that it was Iger's fault as a good thing, or is it too little too late? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below, and also go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy all the content that I put out there, and click the bell notification so that way you be notified of future uploads and updates. Also, if I went wrong in this video anywhere, go ahead and provide corrections in the comments below. And also, if you have any additional thoughts for this topic from the video, go ahead and share it in the comments below. I always reply to comments. All right. Until then, peace.